Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much to the drummers that brought in our leaders today, Joix and Hawa. Good morning, everybody. Today is a really great day. This has been 20 years in the makings for our communities, and that we know today that our ancestors that came before us are here with us today as we do this really important work. I first want to acknowledge the beautiful territory that we're on, Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, and Musqueam, Joixen, for allowing us to come on your beautiful territory. Today is a very historic day today, and we're very happy to be doing it on your territory. I first want to introduce Chief Marilyn Slett from the Heiltsuk Nation. She's also the president of Coastal First Nations. I'd like to call her to the stage, Chief Marilyn Slett.
Good morning. Gyaxika for the welcome and for the paddle song bringing us in here this morning. It's a good way to give us some of that really good medicine and blessing. Today marks the culmination of decades of collaboration. We have worked for over a decade with Canada, BC, industry stakeholders, and coastal communities to design a conservation plan made by the coast for the coast. Today, we are proud to announce that we are bringing $335 million in new funding through the Great Bear Sea Project Finance for Permanence, or PFP, to support our conservation and community development plans. This includes investments from the governments of Canada, British Columbia, along with our philanthropic partners. Once invested and leveraged, this upfront capital will turn over $750 million over the next 20 years. This is huge and exciting for the coast. These funds will support collaborative management of new marine protected areas and will sustain jobs and careers in marine stewardship, conservation, research, and monitoring. Our essential work to restore and protect fish, wildlife, and a healthy sea we all depend on. I am so proud to be joined here on the stage today by leaders from the Government of Canada, British Columbia, and our leaders here with us here today who have joined us on this journey together. And I am pleased to now introduce one leader whose personal commitment to our work has been unwavering, the Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau. Gyaxika.
Thank you for your kind and important words, Chief Slett. Marilyn, thank you for starting us off the right way. Thank you, Christine, for acknowledging the land and starting us off well. I want to start as well by acknowledging that we're on the traditional unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. C'est un grand plaisir pour moi d'être accompagné des ministres Lebouthillier et Wilkinson, ainsi que nos excellents députés Wilson Miao, Joyce Murray, Talib Nur Mohammed, and Patrick Weiler. From the BC government, it's good to see Minister Heyman. George, good to have you here, and a number of your colleagues as well, because this is a big announcement that we've worked very, very hard on to come together, but few have worked as hard as some of the Indigenous leaders in this room, and I want to specifically thank Dallas Smith for his incredible work and leadership as president of the Nanwalokas Council for joining us today. Now, every time I get back to British Columbia, I have so many fond memories of my years living, studying, and teaching here, but what always strikes me, particularly on a glorious day like today, is the natural beauty of this spectacular place. The mountains, ocean, wildlife, fresh air are exactly what draw people from all around the world to come here. It's what makes British Columbia such an incredibly special place. So preserving the natural beauty of this province and of Canada requires constant vigilance, consistent work, and especially strong collaboration. Préserver la nature et la beauté de notre pays, ça prend du travail. Depuis le début, notre gouvernement prend les mesures nécessaires pour protéger notre environnement. Here in BC, our government signed a historic nature agreement late last year with the BC government and Indigenous leaders to provide up to $500 million to protect old-growth forests and species at risk. À travers le pays, on a lancé un réseau de nouveaux parcs urbains nationaux, dont le parc urbain national Ojibwe, pour lequel on a annoncé un financement dans notre dernier budget. And while the previous Conservative government had only protected about 1% of our waters, our government has taken a different approach. As of today, we've protected over 15% of Canada's oceans, and through partnerships like the one you see here today, we're well on our way to meeting our commitment to preserve 30% of our lands and waters by 2030. Mais on sait qu'il reste du travail à faire. Aujourd'hui, on annonce une nouvelle initiative qui va protéger une plus grande superficie de nos océans. Together with 17 First Nations and the BC government, we are launching the Great Bear Sea Project Finance for Permanence, building on a proven, innovative, and Indigenous-led model that has already delivered over $100 million in investments. This latest initiative will simultaneously add about 14,000 square kilometers of new marine protected areas to the 16,000 square kilometers of existing protected area in the Great Bear Sea, and deliver hundreds of millions of dollars in investments to support Indigenous-led conservation and community development projects that will create countless good-paying jobs. This initiative demonstrates what we've long known: reconciliation, nature protection, and economic growth go hand in hand. As I said at the beginning, we cannot take the natural beauty of our great country for granted. Yet that's exactly what happened under the previous Conservative government. They gutted environmental protections, muzzled scientists, and abandoned the existential fight against the climate crisis. Well, we cannot and we will not let that happen again. Notre gouvernement va travailler sans relâche pour protéger notre environnement grâce à des initiatives importantes comme le financement de projets pour la permanence de la mer Great Bear, et on va le faire en partenariat avec les communautés autochtones. We will do what it takes to ensure that Canada remains the best country on earth, the most beautiful country on earth. And before I wrap up, I would like to say a few words about last night's by-election. First, I want to thank all the volunteers and candidates for putting their name forward and participating in this important democratic exercise, including our tremendous Liberal candidate, Leslie Church, who ran a strong and positive campaign. I also want to congratulate Don Stewart on his victory in this tightly fought race. But most of all, I want to thank the people of Toronto St. Paul's for exercising your right to vote and making your voice heard. Now, this was obviously not the result we wanted, but I want to be clear that I hear people's concerns and frustrations. These are not easy times, and it's clear that I and my entire Liberal team have much more work to do to deliver tangible, real progress that Canadians across the country can see and feel. We'll never stop working and fighting to make sure that people have what they need to get through these tough times. My focus is on your success, and that's where it's going to stay. Avant de conclure, je veux dire quelques mots sur l'élection partielle de hier soir. Tout d'abord, je veux remercier tous les bénévoles, les candidats qui ont proposé leur nom pour participer à cette partielle, y compris notre formidable candidate libérale Leslie Church, qui a mené une campagne forte et positive. Je tiens également, évidemment, à saluer Don Stewart pour sa victoire dans cette course très serrée. Mais surtout, je tiens à remercier les citoyens de Toronto-Saint Paul's d'avoir exercé leur droit de vote et d'avoir fait entendre leur voix. Ce n'était évidemment pas le résultat qu'on aurait souhaité, mais je tiens à dire comment j'entends les préoccupations et les frustrations des gens, la situation actuelle que les gens à travers le pays sont en train de vivre, n'est pas facile et c'est clair que moi et toute mon équipe, on a encore beaucoup de travail à faire pour réaliser des projets tangibles et réels que les Canadiens peuvent voir et surtout ressentir. On ne cessera jamais de travailler, de se battre pour que vous ayez ce dont vous avez besoin pour réussir. Et je reste concentré sur votre succès. Merci beaucoup tout le monde d'être ici. And now I'm happy to pass it over to my friend, Minister Lebouthillier, Diane.
Merci, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Bon matin à toutes et à tous. Good morning, everyone. Écoutez, c'est vraiment un honneur de me joindre à vous ce matin sur les territoires des nations Musqueam, Squamish et Tsleil-Waututh. Et en si bonne compagnie, avec le chef Campbell, la chef Slett, le ministre Heyman, ainsi que les dirigeants des Premières Nations de la côte nord du Pacifique. I want to begin by saying how grateful I am to Indigenous peoples who are profoundly connected to these lands and waters and who have cared for them since time immemorial. I appreciate your deep ecological knowledge and your willingness to share it so that together we can create a better, healthier and safer future for everyone. Au cours des dernières années, notre gouvernement a fait des progrès pour soutenir les efforts menés par les Autochtones pour conserver la nature et protéger la biodiversité. Through Project Finance for Permanence, also called PFP, we are coming together to protect nature and halt biodiversity loss. Once complete, these large-scale projects could protect up to 1 million additional square kilometers of land and water and help Canada meet its 30 by 30 conservation targets. Is there one message I can leave you today, is that great things can be accomplished when we recognize the tremendous leadership of First Nations when it comes to working together and managing long-term, large-scale and groundbreaking conservation efforts such as this one. The Great Bear Sea is an ecological and cultural jewel, and like all precious things, it must be protected and conserved. We owe it to our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Je tiens à remercier tous ceux et celles qui ont participé à ce travail colossal et à vous féliciter d'avoir transformé votre vision en réalité. Reaching this final agreement is an incredible milestone, and I hope it's another meaningful step along the path of reconciliation. Je vous souhaite beaucoup de succès. J'ai bien hâte de suivre vos progrès dans les mois et les années à venir. Merci à tous. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Minister Lebouthillier. We'll invite the next guest up, but before I do that, I'd be remiss to not acknowledge former Minister Carolyn Bennett for all of your hard work. Joyce Murray, for all of your hard work on this file. It was your leadership that brought your department to this work, and I really do appreciate all of it, and I'm glad to see you here to celebrate this. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite George Heyman, Provincial Minister of Environment and Climate Change Strategy, to the stage. George.
Thank you very much. It is an honor to be here on the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh people to be part of this incredibly important step forward in conservation in our province and in our country. BC has approximately 18.6 million hectares of protected and conserved areas, which include over 100 marine protected areas and numerous islands and coastal areas, making up just shy of 20% of BC's total land area. The signing of the Great Bear Sea Project Finance for Permanence Agreement continues our commitment to work in collaboration with First Nations and with Canada to achieve resilient and healthy ecosystems that are necessary to support sustainable communities, industries, prosperous economies, and the health of all of us. It takes a long time to get to a day like this, and it takes a lot of people, leaders, staff, the Indigenous people who have lived in that territory since time immemorial. I remember when I first took office 7 years ago, people coming to me and saying, please make sure we don't lose the progress on the Marine Planning Partnership. That's one of the reasons why being able to be here today is so significant for me. Today's announcement will help us all achieve our desired goals of conserving and protecting 30% of BC's land base, as well as 30% of marine areas by 2030. The creation of Marine Protected Areas Network in the Great Bear Sea is a huge step forward in achieving our collective conservation goals and will help build a truly sustainable economic future for the North Coast. It's a major milestone. 13 years of work for the BC government, couple of decades of work of the First Nations who had this vision and were determined to achieve it, and of course, many, many, many more decades of the history of Indigenous people in the region. We will create new jobs, thousands of new jobs, permanent jobs. We'll advance sustainable fisheries, we'll create economic opportunities throughout the region, as well as supporting Indigenous guardians to protect and conserve the region. In 2022, I had the honor of meeting with Kitasoo-Hehes and nwak First Nations, along with BC Parks, to celebrate the launch of a shared pilot program that designated 11 Indigenous guardians with the legal authorities of park rangers within the parks and protected areas of their ancestral territories. This will be the first of many such initiatives, and it has been a huge success. That summer, I had the opportunity to visit with many of the guardians in the very special areas of the Great Bear Sea. Chief Nislos took me through the deepest mud he could find so I could see grizzly bears. And I also had the opportunity to meet with some of the guardians on the boat. Their pride was palpable. Their competence and their knowledge was stunning. I knew at that moment that what we had begun with the agreement with the Kitasoo-Hehes and the nwak was simply the first of what must be many, many more such agreements to collaborate. I'm pleased to see the depth and breadth of this work moving forward today as we celebrate the signing of the historic agreements between 17 nations, Canada, and BC. We have a shared goal of advancing Indigenous-led conservation, stewardship, and sustainable community well-being linked to real economic opportunities throughout the Great Bear Sea. Our $60 million contribution will help create the largest marine protected area network in Canada and also supports the continued implementation of the Marine Plan Partnership with our many partner nations. It's a great example of how government to government collaborations help maintain the health of marine ecosystems and support sustainable development opportunities, all of it in the spirit of our reconciliation efforts. Thank you all for the important work that has led to today. Chiefs, guardians, staff in both levels of government, and the philanthropic sector for making today a reality. Together, we'll continue to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Heyman. I'd like to invite Dallas Smith, President of Nanawakla's Council, to the stage at this time. Chief Dallas Smith.
I first walked into the Great Bear Rainforest over 20 years ago. I had Merv Child by my side. I found solace in Chief Percy Starr being in the room. I think of the great chiefs who got us to this point today. And while we've lost some wonderful leaders and chiefs, they've been replaced by Gagwis, Chief Doug Niesloss, Chief Schooner, Chief Roberts. That next generation has stepped forward to carry on the discussion that we started 20 years ago. For many of us, this started as a land use planning practice called the Central Coast Land and Coastal Resource Management Plan. For years, we watched stakeholders talk about how they were going to use our territories. But then two things happened. First Nations decided we were no longer going to watch what people were doing in our territories. We were going to collaborate. And Delgamuuk. Delgamuuk helped a little bit too. Haida, so on, so on. But I think the message of today is that if you continue to collaborate and work together, the color of our tie doesn't matter. The color of our skin doesn't matter. If we continue to show true leadership as our chiefs before us have, we can take on these monumental tasks. It's so important to have this balanced package going forward. We learned this in the terrestrial side. We all protected 30-some-odd% of our terrestrial territories and built a conservation economy around that. That gave us the confidence to see this through. When we did this in 2009 around the terrestrial Great Bear Rainforest orders, I've told this story a few times. I got home expecting fanfare. I was expecting people to pat me on the back and say, "Good job, Weiss." But they said, "You're not done yet. We're marine people. Our marine environment is the same as our terrestrial environment. It's holistic and it's together." And that just made us persevere even more. But the collaborations that we built, the opportunities to continue to share information and knowledge got bigger and bigger. And people started investing in our dreams as Indigenous people of self-determination and reconciliation. And over the years, we've shown that reconciliation, when it's truly done, is not done at the cost of anybody. True reconciliation works for Indigenous people, it works for old Canadians, it works for new Canadians, and it will work for future Canadians. And so it's so important to celebrate the milestones that we've made today to prepare that next level of leadership to understand the importance on a global scale that this agreements bring us today. The 30 by 30 commitment that we stood by the Prime Minister at COP15 was a good step off into the global environment. We're proud as Indigenous people to be working with people all over the world now for the model that we've developed here on the coast of British Columbia. And we look forward to continuing to work with Indigenous people around the world until self-determination, reconciliation, but more importantly, global sustainability is achieved. So to all of our partners, all of our supporters, even those few people who are sort of against what we're trying to achieve as Indigenous people, there's lots of room in our canoe for everybody. Gaelic Husla.
Hawa Dallas. Before we go on to the gift giving, as is our tradition, we would like to read the declaration. If I can call Chief Marilyn Slett to read the declaration.
Thank you, Christine, and to articulate our commitment as leaders and communities and nations, we have a Great Bear Sea Declaration. First Nations across the North Pacific coast, Great Bear Sea, have cared for and governed these lands and waters since time immemorial. Today, First Nations, Canada, and British Columbia affirm our shared commitment to carry forward this tradition of coastal and marine stewardship. We will work together and with stakeholders and partners to advance a network of marine protected areas, foster sustainable economies, reduce marine pollution, and promote healthy and resilient coastal ecosystems and communities. We will work in the spirit of reconciliation, respect, and partnership to uphold and demonstrate world-leading models of collaborative governance and Indigenous-led conservation for the future of this coast and for the benefit of all. Our commitment today will leave a legacy of hope and prosperity for generations to come. Gaiaxika.
So if we have some presentations, first to the federal government, if I can call Chief Marilyn Slett so that we can provide them the gift.
On behalf of our leadership here today and our communities, we would like to present this gift to you. And it comes with much gratitude for the work that we're doing and the work that we've presented here today and the work that we're going to do in the future. Wallace Gaiaxika, so much for your support. We really appreciate this. You know, today has been a momentous day for our communities. It's that vision of our leaders that came before us around the continued protection of our territories that benefit everybody. And this is something that we've always done in collaboration. And this gift is for you to signify our work together and our gratitude and our partnership. Gaiaxika.
This time, I'd like to call up Chief Dallas Smith to present to the province.
I got to present the gift.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, the Prime Minister will present a gift.
I'd like to give this gift in recognition of the work of the province has done. Diego Madelpi made these beautiful pieces for us, and so I don't know how you and the Premier work this, but I don't know if it's flip a coin,
Oh, I don't
rock,
think
paper,
so.
scissors. I'll see it in his office next week.
I think so.
Thank you so much, George.
And to Dallas, Chief Slett, all of the nations that have been part of this work for many, many, many years, and this agreement in honor of this and gratitude and looking forward to more collaboration to come.
Thank you very much. It's not even my birthday.
Don't tell Stephen Gilboa I had bubble wrap.
No. Thank you so much. The Premier gave me a blanket last week and I didn't even make a joke.
So thank you for everybody for their attendance today. Thank you to the elders that came with us to help guide us today. We really do appreciate it. This brings to a close the press conference, and we thank everybody for being here today. Hawa, Zoix, and